I'm Kathryn Flaschner, and this is The Truth Is, a podcast about discovering what it means to live your truth. Even when it's messy, when it unravels the plans you thought you had and invites you to step into the unknown. Each week, we explore practices, stories, and conversations that illuminate the ways we find and follow our own path. This is a space to slow down, ask questions, and uncover what's been quietly waiting inside of you. If it resonates, subscribing, following, and engaging with the show really supports me in bringing more people into the conversation. Thank you for being here. Welcome to The Truth Is. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Truth Is. I am your host, Kathryn, and if you're watching this, you might be able to see that I am wearing a Loud and Proud Buffalo Bills sweatshirt, not because I'm ready to host an NFL or a sports podcast, but because I am a Buffalo girl through and through, and the Buffalo Bills are in the playoffs, and because our guest for today grew up just a few minutes down the street from me in, you guessed it, Buffalo, New York. But we're not here to reminisce on the early 2000s, although that was a beautiful time in life. My guest today, David Neimanis, and I are here to explore where life has pulled us and pulled us again since leaving the place that gave us such a beautiful foundation. Dave Neimanis says early in the interview, when he was asked what he wanted to be when he grew up, he said, "I want to be a maker. I want to make things." And maybe he didn't have like the robust language at the time to describe what that meant to him. But as we explore his story together today, and as I got to watch it from afar through our 20s and into our 30s, he was pulled to different creative modalities to make things. He started post-college in a band making music, and then his curiosity pulled him to become a food writer and explore the world of food through writing. And now he lives abroad in Spain and is building a Spanish vermouth company called Cueva Nueva. And something that is so consistent in my experience talking to Dave on the podcast is he has this really grounded commitment to his own autonomy. He cares deeply about how he spends his time. And his definition of success has really been refined to what does it look like to build a life that he enjoys living day in and day out and that is sustainable. And we talk about this beautiful contrast in environment. For him, it was the difference between living in New York and moving abroad to Spain to build a company, not just culturally, but in how each place relates to work, identity, and enjoyment, and about building a business that doesn't assume success has to mean burnout or growth at all costs. Now, this conversation starts by him sharing the Spanish ritual that led to the creation of his business called La Hora del Vermut, which is a pause in the middle of the day to enjoy the day itself. And in a quiet way, that distinction and that ritual becomes the through line for our conversation. The vermouth is delicious, and I recommend you click the link in the show notes to find a bottle near you. But by and large, this conversation is about designing a life that you don't have to escape from and to get curious about the environment and about the circumstances that work for you and for your unique definition of success. What a treat to reconnect with Dave today. I'm so thrilled to share this conversation with you. Here is my conversation with Dave Neimanis. Well, Dave, welcome to The Truth Is.
Good to be here.
It's funny, I love to start by asking people to talk a little bit about their early context and their upbringing. And it's just so funny to be we grew up down the street from each other. But I know I'm going to learn about you today, which I'm looking forward to. But I have to say that I think back on just how how great the people I grew up with were, and you were one of them.
Thank you.
It was good
Likewise.
people.
Totally.
Yeah, and I took it for granted.
Makes sense. I mean, we were kids.
We were kids. Before we get into all that, what time actually is La Hora del Vermut?
So in Spain, there is a ritual mid-afternoon, could be anywhere from, 11 to 2.
Okay.
Take a little break in the day, meet up with friends, family, have some spirited banter, some sweet vermouth, maybe some salty snacks.
Yeah.
And then you get on with your day.
And we have those.
Yeah. And, it's not a, celebration of the end of the day, like a happy hour. It's the celebration of the day itself.
Yeah.
And I think we could benefit from celebrating the day and acknowledging that.
Well, we're going to do it. Do people go back to work after they do it?
They do.
Fascinating. Yeah. So it's like kind of adjacent to the siesta.
Yeah, I'd say it's more commonplace than the siesta. The siesta still exists, for sure. If you can tandem a La Hora del Vermut and a siesta, that's a nice combo.
The way you pronounce that.
Yeah.
La Hora del Vermut.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Tell me what we have here.
So this is sweet vermouth, commonly called vermut in Spain.
Yep.
I think it's a misunderstood beverage. It is wine at the end of the day.
Yeah. Fortified.
So it starts with the base of white wine, believe it or not. And then you take a bunch of herbs and botanicals. So we use 88 herbs in ours.
Yeah.
It can be anything from cardamom, clove, wormwood, gentian root, rosemary, thyme, vanilla, orange peel, etc.
Yeah.
And you basically pull out all of the flavors and aromas from that in a grain-based alcohol.
Huh.
So you have the super strong distillate of herbs and botanicals. You add a little bit of that to the white wine, some additional sugar, and toss it in a barrel. And then you have a stable product. So like historically, fortified wines existed for selling routes. So I mean, if you took a barrel of regular wine and went from Spain to England, by the time it got there, it'd be sour.
Fascinating.
So that's why sherry, port wine, vermouth all kind of came into existence to create something that was stable for voyages.
Huh.
Yeah.
You're like a historian. Well, cheers.
Cheers. Salud.
Salud. This is the first alcohol-infused podcast interview.
Right on. Glad I could be a part of it.
It's so yummy. You have taught me so much about this from afar, and just getting a peek into like all of the knowledge you have is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we're kind of trying to do is there's a lot of vermouth brands in Spain, but I don't think there's many that are trying to steward that experience outside of Spain.
Yeah.
Just totally fine. I mean, like if you're a 100-year-old legacy brand and are content with what you have in Spain, like excellent. But I do think that it is something that people around the world would enjoy, would appreciate. And I think that for my time living in New York, I would go travel to Spain. I'd have vermouth every day.
Yeah.
I'd get back from Spain, want that experience, and it wasn't really accessible.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I have another friend that was on the podcast recently who she's building a brand on her own, and she lived in a small town in Switzerland and discovered like the communal bathing culture. And similarly, she was like, I want that back here. I want to share that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I needed that and what the impact is on me. So there's something really cool about that journey.
Yeah. And also like, I love Spain so much. I mean, it's why it's my adopted home. But I think that one thing Spaniards are not great at is marketing. And you look at Italians, the French, their cuisine is so well known. Their products are so well known. And I think that Spain is totally misunderstood. I mean, people have images of sangria and neon yellow paella, which is something that Spaniards don't drink. Like sangria is just like not a thing Spaniards drink.
Right.
And I think that vermouth is like the ultimate Spanish thing, like what it stands for, like this idea, like I was saying before, this idea of celebrating the day, taking things slow, is very representative. And vermouth is something that is on every person's drink in Spain. And like one thing we're very adamant about is trying to not let it get fancy. I think when things get imported from Europe, people try to make them fancy. And like vermouth's anything but fancy.
Interesting. What was I going to say? When I was catching up with you sharing that this podcast was born out of me making a big career change and stepping away from like 10 pretty consuming corporate years. When I left in April, I took a trip. I went to Copenhagen and then I spent a week in Spain. And I didn't realize it thinking about planning that trip, but to be dropped in like the opposing pace of life that I had been in until I reached a point of burnout. All I wanted, I was in Mallorca, which was lovely, and then around Barcelona, but there's something to that. And just talking to you about that reminds me of how just regulating and calming that juxtaposition is.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this podcast is equal parts my curiosity about like what you're doing today and what you're sharing through your work and how you got to this point. And so I want to explore that a little bit. And I was sharing with you as we were catching up before this, observing you from afar the last several years. I'm like, there's some cool headlines here. He's gone from music to tinned fish to writing to now this. And so I'm excited to like explore that a little bit. But let's go back to like early Dave. I love to ask, what's something about how you grew up or the early part of your life that you think informs who you are or helps us understand who you are today?
When I was super young, I got the classic question of what you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah.
And my answer was a maker. And, you know, my family liked to kind of bust my chops about that because that isn't necessarily a job. Although today I feel like the term maker is different than it was 25 years ago.
What did it mean to you then, you think?
I don't think I really knew. I mean, I think that as a child, you know, I didn't want to be a fireman or a police officer. That sounded way too dangerous. And I liked to make things. I think kids generally do like to make things, whether it's drawings, paintings, crafts, Legos, whatever it may be. You get like locked in the zone and then you have something to be proud of after. It kind of like builds confidence. It builds the important parts of ego, I think.
Yeah. Ooh, what are the important parts of ego? I've never heard that.
I mean, ego is super complicated. I think that ego destroys many successful people. But I do think you need to be able to harness some ego in order to have the confidence to, you know, go out on a limb and create something that's never been created before. Yeah. And to believe or assume that you're the person capable of making something that hasn't existed before. Yeah, certainly requires a certain level of ego. Yeah. If you're like, I'm that person to do that. Yeah. So I think always was kind of drawn to the idea of creating things. And then that kind of took form in music. And music was a really cool way to go about it because having a band allows you to kind of share that vulnerability with 3 other people or however many people are in your band. And you're kind of doing it for each other, which you're building this thing, you're building community, but like it's not all on you. And yeah, I think that journey kind of led me to like exploring the worlds of entrepreneurship, exploring the worlds of writing. But yeah, I think that there's kind of a fascination in my world with this idea of, like I said, creating something that has never before existed. Yeah. Were we in band together? I was an orchestra kid. You were an orchestra. Upright what were bass. You playing? You were playing the upright bass. Yeah, I think in 3rd grade when you get to make the decision of what you want to play, I said, that's the biggest instrument. I want that one. You were the orchestra. I was playing alto sax. Yeah. Did your parents do creative work? Was there any early like influences outside of your experience moving into music, do you think, as you look back? My parents are both big music people, particularly my dad. Yeah. Played guitar, never super seriously, but always played guitar around the house. Massive Grateful Dead fan. Really? So kind of got immersed into that music pretty early on. Yeah. Definitely have that, you know, memory of, you know, rejecting the things that my parents thought were cool. Totally. And, you know, it's all about Blink-182 and that kind of stuff at a young age. And then one day you kind of start listening to the Grateful Dead a little bit more serious and you're like, I get it. He knows what he's talking about. I get it. That's so funny. And then last question on like early, like the now very clear appreciation for food and like culture of food. Did you have early memories of that from being a kid? Not really. I mean, once again, I feel like my dad was interested in that stuff, but like didn't pursue it necessarily. Yeah. I think that kind of started after I stopped playing music and ended up getting a job in tech that paid enough money that I could go on vacation, have paid time off and explore culture a bit more. I mean, I think in a very cliche, not very unique experience, I did a semester in Italy and was in Rome. And that was kind of where I sort of fell in love with learning other people's culture through food.
Yeah.
I think it is such an easy form of communication.
Yeah.
You go to another place, you eat and drink what they eat and drink, and suddenly people are going to want to talk to you.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of like the impetus for me being interested in that area of study, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
And then after playing in the band, I moved to Pittsburgh. And that's when I wanted to start meeting creative people, entrepreneurs, chefs, bartenders, artists. And that's kind of when writing started picking up, because that was an opportunity to, you know, build those relationships. If you get some of this one-on-one time, you could kind of start meeting people in a way that was somewhat forced, just going out in the wild and trying to make friends to learn about their lives.
Yeah. But I like admire that, like, the first job out of college was you were in music and you pursued.
Yeah.
What do you attribute giving yourself permission to do that to? Did it just kind of form itself and you just like had the trust to follow it?
Yeah, I don't know. It definitely wasn't the plan.
Yeah.
I went to school to study music business, and the idea was to help prop up the careers of other people making music.
Sure.
I didn't really feel like I had the talent for it, and didn't really seem like a stable career, which I think maybe was a sound observation early on, but I did not listen to myself on that one.
Yeah.
But no, I was doing that semester in Rome, playing in a band out there, not a very good band.
In Italy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And had a couple friends, some of who you know, that graduated a year before me. I still had a year left of school. And they were like, hey, we don't want to get jobs. We want to go play in a band.
Yeah.
You in?
Yeah.
And it was right after my dad passed away. And like, I feel like I didn't know what I wanted to do next. And said, screw it, let's do it. And moved to Buffalo. We started writing a bunch of songs, bought a van and a trailer, and started just traveling around the country playing music.
Yeah, I remember seeing you around when your dad passed, and I'm always so like profoundly fascinated by the way that an event like that can impact your decision making and like change the trajectory of where you thought you should maybe go. And then there's this interruption, my sense, and you're like, all right, well, I just got a lot clearer on what matters to me, at least in this moment.
Yeah, and I also felt it was kind of one of those things too, like, as noted, my dad was a big music fan.
Yeah.
I feel like at that point in time, if he was around, if I said, hey, I want to do this thing, I want to like throw my hat in the ring of being a professional musician, he would have supported it.
He would have?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How about your mom?
I mean, she was fully supportive of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever a time where she was like, go get a real job.
I don't know, maybe you relate to this. My sisters and I reflect on like, it was totally on us to figure it out, but they were like, do what you want.
Yeah.
Do you relate to that? Like, do you think that was instilled? What do you think was instilled in you and your sisters?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like we ever got like forced in a specific
Into
direction.
something.
And I mean, my sisters and I all picked very different career paths, and I think that's probably a testament to it as well.
Totally.
I think the only like real piece of guidance that I got, which I'm sure I could have broken away from if I wanted to, was when I was going to college. I was kind of looking at like the music route or the music business route. And my parents were like, you know, if you're going to go to university and take out student loans, you might want to get a business degree.
As you look back, are you like, oh, it's benefited me in ways maybe I didn't expect?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know that what I learned in university is necessarily like super practical to what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
I think if I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I probably would have focused more on certain classes or taken certain classes. But yeah, I think like many people, university was more of an outside the classroom learning. I
would love to ask, so you're in the band full time. How do you make the decision that this season is going to be, this chapter is going to complete?
Yeah, so did that for about 3 years, maybe a little longer. And I think one of the big turning points was Shannon, my girlfriend at the time, now wife, who you know. She was finishing grad school, and we planned this big trip to Thailand, like a 3-week trip. Wow. We had no money and had no business going on a 3-week trip.
The pad thai's cheap though, I've been.
It's cheap, yeah. You can
like
afford
40 cents.
Yeah, quite cheap. And planned this trip, big deal for us. And then when I told the guys that I was going on that trip, they were kind of pissed. It's like, that's 3 weeks of not being able to play shows.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of those moments where it's like, okay, I've gone on this endeavor that is soaked in freedom, going on the road with friends, playing music for people. Now I realize that I don't have nearly as much autonomy as I thought I did. I'm looking at the calendar and I have shows scheduled 8 months in advance, and I don't necessarily have like as much individual freedom as I thought I did. And that I think was kind of like the point in time where I realized that I don't know if that's a career for me. I was starting to look at like some of the most popular, successful bands in our field, if you will.
Yeah.
And I was looking at their lives and I was like, I don't think I even want that. Even if I could achieve that, I don't know that I want that with my life. And leaving a band is a pretty hard thing to do.
Yeah. I say this with the utmost reverence. You're in like cult/family situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you have 3 boyfriends.
Yeah.
And you break up with 3 boyfriends at the same time.
Once.
And they're quite upset about the whole thing.
Right.
And I mean, I think I framed it in a good way. It was like, I don't want to be a professional musician. I don't think you want a guy that doesn't want to be a professional musician in your band.
Yeah.
But I did do it in a way that like we had, I think like 6 months of shows scheduled. I said, I'll be around for the next 6 months. I'll help you find a new bass player, which is what happened. And went on my way.
Yeah. It comes up in some of my conversations on the podcast where just that moment of getting to the thing that you wanted and then realizing something about the experience actually isn't maybe aligned anymore.
Yeah.
And that takes, I think, like telling some truth to yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also like, I don't know that we got to where we wanted to be before I went on my own way.
Sure.
But a band's hard. Like I was saying that you get to, share that vulnerability with 3 other people, but you're also sharing custody over a creative vision.
Yeah.
And that gets complicated at sometimes too. Like somebody brings a song to the table that I might think stinks.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say that it stinks. And I think that it's also it can be super self-indulgent when you're making art in certain ways, because you're creating something that like the 4 of us thought was great, but we weren't necessarily making something for other people. The idea was, this is something we like and we think is cool, and we hope other people likes it. But yeah, it definitely wasn't necessarily for others. It was for us, which I think is the right way to go about creating art.
Art, especially, yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to kind of like drive a growth strategy, if you will. Not that I was thinking about it that way at the time.
What's interesting to me is you have a co-founder today, so you have this different type of partnership. But as you look back on, I love what you call it, having like 3 boyfriends. Do you see a lesson that has stayed with you? Yeah,
I mean, I think if you're going to go into a partnership with somebody, you need to kind of like learn that person, understand their temperaments, but also just understand like their motives. And with this brand right now, my co-founder Fee, love the guy to death. Like, I learned very early on that he's not greedy. And like, I can start a business with somebody who's not greedy. They don't have to have all of the skills, all of the connections, but like somebody that understands what we're building and building it for like the reason that we want it to exist in the world. And we think people will like it, and not to sell to some mega company in 3 years.
Yeah. There's like clarity on his why.
Yeah.
Why he's in it in the first place. That's really interesting.
And I also think building a brand by yourself can be a lonely ride too.
Totally. I'm there.
Yeah.
I feel so much better, and I make more progress when I'm like with others and when I have people to talk things out with. So I can really appreciate that.
Yeah. And I think also like when you're in a partnership with somebody, the highs are higher, the lows are less bad.
That's well said.
Yeah.
So I want to get to Spain, but I want to hear a little bit about like you leave the band, you go on this beautiful trip with Shannon. Is that right? And then But Spain wasn't just yet. So what was like the compass from there?
Went to Pittsburgh after leaving the band, got a tech job, first big boy job. It was fine for the time being. Was working for a software company that was like pseudo startup, ping pong table, beer fridge kind of vibe. Make you believe that you like your job. And then after about 10 months, realize I did not like that job.
Yeah, you're like no amount of foosball and free microwaved eggs can distract me any longer.
Yeah, and I felt a total lack of purpose because I wasn't creating anything anymore.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily doing any good for the world. And then I actually made a pivot over into nonprofit work. I was working for a company or an organization rather that takes fresh, perfectly edible excess food and diverts that to people that need the food.
Cool.
And that was a much more fulfilling organization to work for, and also gave me like a little bit more free time to do some writing. And that's kind of when the food and beverage writing started to take over a little bit and got a lot more involved in that.
Yeah.
COVID happened and had much more time to write.
Yeah, where do you think the writing comes from?
Yeah, I think that writing was never like intended to be a job.
Yeah.
Certainly considered it at some point in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there was just a large population of people I found interesting that it seemed like the best way to get in touch with was to interview them for an article I was writing.
Interesting. And you wrote for yourself and then would be a contributor, right?
I was doing just like contracted contributions to, like Eater and The Infatuation and
really
some
cool.
local publications, things of that nature. And then the chef Mark Bittman had a blog on Medium called Heated for a bit. And during my trips to Spain that I would go on, I got really into tinned fish.
Yeah.
It's a big part of the culture out there. And I wrote an article about how people should be eating more tinned fish. And by my standards, especially at the time, that one kind of went viral. And then I just kind of like kept feeding that. It was like, this is my niche. I'm going to keep writing about tinned fish and be the tinned fish guy.
The voice of tinned fish. Yeah.
Essentially. And like, it was niche enough at the time that it was not easy, but like relatively easy to get more writing gigs covering that subject.
So interesting.
And then what that ultimately led to, so this is now during quarantine.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of free time on our hands. And I think that absence of travel was, at least in my world, and I think many other people's worlds, was kind of filled with like this at-home hedonism of like getting wine and gourmet groceries from other parts of the world. And it's like, well, I can't travel to France, but I can drink French wine and cheese.
I remember, it's so embarrassing, sitting alone in my San Francisco apartment, and this cool restaurant was like, you can get this huge rotisserie chicken dinner. And it was definitely for 2 people, and I ate the whole thing by myself.
Good.
But you needed it. And hedonism is the right word to describe it.
You needed to feel something. And then I started having friends, but also like random readers of some of the stuff that I was writing reach out to me and ask like, where should I buy my tinned fish? How should I serve it? What should I pair it with? And I kept giving suggestions. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I have a lot of free time on my hands right now. Why don't I just start up a subscription, kind of like a wine club? And essentially I would have a monthly box that would have 6 or 7 different tins in it from all over the world. I'd have a little card which would give, serving suggestions, wine pairings, that type of a thing. And then that was kind of a cool way to connect with some people, make a little bit of money, fund my eating habits at the time. That ended up leading to like, when I moved to New York, there was kind of the emergence of some of these trendy North American brands. And I started working as a brand manager for a company called Scout out of Canada. Learned a lot there about like what kind of trade-offs you're going to have if you take a lot of money from outside investment.
Totally. I mean, I've unfortunately learned that in my own way in the businesses that I've been on, everything from a private equity acquired media company to Walmart. And what's interesting, and I think there's a reason for it. A lot of folks that I talk to on this podcast that are in entrepreneurial moments like you saw some of that and were like, I am doing it very intentionally and very differently, and wanting to put off taking in third-party funding as long as possible.
And like that is one of the starkest contrasts from being in Spain to being in a place like New York.
Interesting.
Is the way people build business is totally different.
Tell us.
Businesses in Spain, for the most part, like a lot of the partners that we work with, whether it's our bottle manufacturer or some of the other parts of our supply chain, like these businesses that I talk to, like they're very much of the old school mindset. Like we're not spending money that we don't have.
Yeah.
We're not taking out lines of credit. We're not raising money. Granted, some of these companies have, the benefit of being family-owned businesses that have been running for 100+ years.
Yeah.
I think the idea of building a business for the sole intent of selling it as fast as possible is crazy. And once again, like seeing small businesses that are valued at absurd amounts of money, like it is just a huge fallacy and doesn't really have any logic behind it.
There's a reckoning happening with a lot of the systems in our culture and in our country. And like the extractive hyper-capitalism is one.
Yeah.
I love what you're sharing about that. You went from life in Brooklyn to life in Spain. What was that decision? And then like, what was that transition like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just rooted in curiosity. I had the fortune of having a European passport by way of my Latvian grandfather.
Wow,
and
I remember
that made access to Europe a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But I loved living in Brooklyn. Like, I want to express that. Like, I really liked my time here.
Cool.
I think that New York is an incredibly exciting place, an incredibly entertaining place. It can kick your ass at times, but I mean, it's a great city.
Every time I come here and I feel like I'll probably move here sooner or later, my mom would like to hear me say sooner, is it like beats you down, but then about a weekend I'm like, oh, I can do this. And like the ego thing we were talking about, there's something in proving you can do it, you know?
No, it's an energizing place, and I love in my life right now that I have a reason to be here often, because like a huge difference in Spain versus here when building a brand.
Yeah.
In Spain, people have way less of an interest in what you do for work. That's not generally like the first topic of conversation. And like, I'll talk to friends and they'll be like, how's the vermouth thing going? I'm like, oh, it's going good right now. Like, so-and-so, we have this new opportunity, let's say. They're like, oh, so people are drinking it? Like, yeah. They're like, cool. And that's kind of the conversation.
What friends in Spain say.
And then I get back to New York and people ask about it. They want to strategize with you. They want to introduce you to a friend who could help you out with something. And like, that's great. Like, I like that too. I don't know that I need it every day.
Yeah.
But like, it is super exciting to get back to New York and like have that energy to feed off of, because I do think that like, that is an important part of building, talking to like-minded individuals, but like being in a place where you don't have other people sizing you up and asking about fundraising and asking about like what you're doing in sales and velocity. Like, it's nice.
Yeah. I was like 2 questions away from like asking you about your distribution channels.
Yeah.
That says so much. Now, in the same vein, you know, the cultural conversations about a business are different. How then do you get to having a business idea in Spain? Because I would imagine, you know, over here, I was in San Francisco for 6 years. A lot of it can be like, all right, I want to be a founder now. What am I going to found?
Yeah.
And I imagine the journey to this was emblematic of the culture in Spain and how it impacted you.
It was super organic, honestly. Like, I knew that I probably wanted to start something up at some point in time. I wasn't in any sort of rush. And then after, you know, many rounds of vermouth, you know, there was this desire to share it with friends back home. And like, that might be packing some bottles in my suitcase when I was going to visit friends back in the States. And then quickly understanding that the brand that my co-founder and I wanted to exist just didn't.
Interesting.
And like, it was kind of a no-brainer opportunity to take it on.
Yeah.
And we just realized that like, there is an opportunity for the brand we think should exist to exist.
So you discover the culture around this drink.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's a good example of like the difference in American culture, but will you describe it a little bit to us? And maybe even, like what that experience was of adjusting to like a very different lifestyle and even pace of life in the period of a day.
You know, it's not a utopia. It's not a perfect place. Nor is. But I do think that people are more focused on what can be enjoyed during the course of a day and not, you know, trading their enjoyment of the now for the future. And I think you see it in just the social fabric of the communities around you, whether it's, you know, a group of old ladies having a beer at 3 p.m. together on a terrace, or whether it's a family having a late dinner and then having some drinks afterwards while the little kids are still up at 10:30 kicking a soccer ball off a church. Like, the pace of life is slower and people are more invested in enjoying each day.
Yeah.
And then, certain adjustments, like, I guess like the classic things, you move to Spain and things shut down during the middle of the day and you adjust to that. And then I feel like in kind of like on top of that present moment sort of thinking, like when I was living in New York, I felt like when I wanted to meet up with a friend for a coffee, I'd have to schedule that a week in advance.
I know. So depressing.
In Spain, somebody calls you, they say, hey, you want to go grab a drink? It's like, when? I was thinking right now.
Did you know, like, was that part of your motivation for moving there? I want life to feel different day to day, or was it just a curiosity you always had?
I think so. I think that I was here and I knew life could be different.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know where else in the US I could find what I was looking for. And I knew that like one day I'd want to start a family. I'd want to develop some sort of philosophies of what it means to enjoy life. And I thought that it was kind of an interesting idea to go to another place where it seemed like people were living better. And maybe better is not the right word, but at least differently. And I thought that it was an opportunity that I could go to another place, sort of observe how people live. And then if I live there forever, great. If I come back to the States, I can take some of that information and observation that I acquired out there and implement it into life here.
My hypothesis is more people, maybe around our age, give or take, are aware of like, yes, something about this equation over here isn't working. For me, it was like significant burnout. And I take this from a coach I just interviewed, where a lot of her work is like, we think that when we get to the destination, then we can relax and enjoy it. But that destination like never comes. And so I see so much of that in your story.
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate.
Yeah.
And like, I also just kind of understand that I don't know where is the right place for me in the US. I think there's many places I could be happy. I think you can make yourself happy wherever you are to some capacity. I think that New York is my preferred place to be when I'm in the US. But like the idea of setting roots, starting a family, all of that, like is an intimidating thing to do in a place like New York. I think that in order to live well in this city, you do need to tie yourself to a steady source of income.
Totally.
And I didn't feel like I needed to do that right now necessarily.
Oh, so there was part of Spain that like maybe gave you a sense of a little bit more freedom and room to breathe and follow your curiosity about what you wanted to be doing.
Yeah. I mean, you don't need a lot of money to live well in Spain.
Yeah.
I also want to preface that by saying, you know, people go to places like Spain and go, oh, it's so cheap here. It's like the average salary in Spain is like 25,000 euros a year.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to acknowledge that like, while something might be cheap compared to New York, it's not necessarily cheap.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think the income inequality gap is totally different. I mean, I think that it is jarring when you haven't been in New York in a little bit to be on the subway and see a woman sitting on the ground with a baby asking for money and like nobody even bats an eye or even acknowledges it. Yeah, here.
Yeah.
And then, for example, I was in Granada in south of Spain not too long ago.
Yeah.
I was out to lunch. There was, you know, kind of an old scraggly man selling Kleenexes, which is a strangely popular thing to do. And next day, I'm going down the street, passing by one of my favorite tapas bars. I see that same guy out with his friends having a beer. And it's like that guy is presumably unemployed.
Yeah.
He's kind of grinding in his own way and walking the streets, selling things, probably not making very much money doing it, but still has the dignity to be able to go out to a bar and have a beer with his friends.
Yeah. That says something about how people see each other.
Yeah. And there's a social net that, you know, if that guy became ill or something happened, like he would be cared for.
Yeah. 2.5 years in, do you have a sense for how this new environment and way of life has either impacted your relationship with yourself or your relationship to, you know, people, your relationships in your life?
I think it's been a good opportunity to slow down. I feel like I'm in less of a rush, especially when building a business. I mean, it is nice to set roots in a place where you can bootstrap, not earn a lot of money off something early on, and like totally still survive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it's just been a testament to like, you don't need to have that trade-off of today for the future.
Totally. It's like Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like living in this chokehold of like, I have to survive right now and get through. And I mean, there was periods of my career where I was like spending every night writing 40 emails in Outlook with some, and I listened to this guy that talks about how as we get more efficient, the work should plateau, but we just keep creating.
Yeah.
And so the goalpost will never reach it.
Giving all of your time to something so that one day you can live in peace is a really bad trade-off.
Yeah.
And like many young people, was influenced by people like Tim Ferriss early on. And like this idea of being able to enjoy the perks of retirement when you're still able-bodied is super attractive.
Yeah.
And I think there's different ways to go about that. I don't think that automating your whole life so that you only have to work 4 hours a week is necessarily the exact way or exact method I would go about it.
Right.
But I do see like the idea behind it. I mean,
well, I think it's cool. You've gone about it in a very unique way, which started with moving to a part of the world where you were curious about a way of life that's like specific to that part of the world. And then I love how it's related to this. And I want to tell the story of this. What did I take a picture of? I took a few pictures from your website. I love, like, you talk about the art of doing nothing, but doing it very well, which is really cool to me. I took a picture of this. Like, vermouth is unique in that it has its own moment, La Hora del Vermut. It's not a happy hour celebrating the end of the day, but a moment to enjoy the day itself. So you're discovering like the culture by at large, but then this specific culture about this drink.
Yeah.
And I started watching you in it when you started like taking people on tours of different bars and restaurants to enjoy it. So yeah, take us like, what do you remember about that process of starting to tell the story and then bringing this to the world?
Well, it's kind of a sensitive thing at first because I'm not Spanish.
Right.
And that's kind of a weird thing where you're like, am I stepping on anybody's toes right now, you know, celebrating this product and sharing it with people when I'm not of the culture?
Yeah.
Like there is certainly some tension in the air in Spain in terms of, you know, expats and tourism right now.
Yeah.
And then the more that I thought about it, it was like, once again, nobody else is doing the thing that I want to be done.
Mm-hmm.
We work with a bunch of Spanish companies to get this off the ground. And like, it ultimately is sharing, I think, a very authentic piece of Spain's culture.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that it, just trying to tell it in a way that is true to what it is. And once again, how I was saying before, that you could easily make this into like a fancy drink.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is not what we want to be. Like we want to be, we always say 1 foot in the wine bar, 1 foot in the dive bar. Like we want to be the every person's drink. And I think that captures vermouth culture quite well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also super unfortunate that Spain in general, I think that people like to think that Spaniards are lazy. That is a huge, you know, observation from outside where it's like, these people take naps during the day. None of these people want to work that hard.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe they're just living their lives, and like people do work hard, and people are investing in relationships. People are investing in like themselves.
Yeah, maybe they're working hard at living a good life.
Yeah. It's like, if taking a 15-minute nap during the middle of the day is lazy, like I don't want to live in that world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. Like, and we Americans have a way of being like, take the power nap to be able to work harder, or like meditation for productivity's sake.
Yeah.
Versus just to like be present in your actual life.
Totally.
Yeah.
Unless your body needs a rest.
Yeah. Tell us what the name means.
The name Cueva Nueva means new cave. And the concept behind that is new caves don't really exist. They're old caves that have been discovered. Historically, we've learned a lot about past civilizations through caves. And there's this thing that I've always been kind of fascinated by about how trends kind of skip a generation. What your parents did, not so cool. What your grandparents did, maybe kind of cool. You see pictures of your grandparents when they were young and what they were wearing, and you're like, that's kind of a fresh jacket grandpa's wearing.
I get that.
And vermouth in Spain at the turn of the century was an old person drink. It was served in, you know, little tabernas, driving cap wearing abuelos, elbow to elbow. And then around 2007, 2008, young people got curious in the category. And all these trendy vermouth bars started opening up. Young people started drinking it, and it became probably the second most commonly consumed alcohol beverage in Spain after
all
beer.
Over Spain, wow.
Yeah. And yeah, I think there's just this kind of interesting and exciting thing about old trends resurfacing. And you see it in a lot of aspects of fashion, music, food.
But I love that it represents a very specific ritual. And so what people that are new to it or new to the category, like what would you most want them to know about the story that you're telling with it?
I mean, we want people to know that you can drink it on its own, on ice, olive, orange garnish. If people want to use it in cocktails, we're in full support of that as well.
Yeah.
Where it's going to fit into your daily life is going to be different. Like people aren't going to be taking a break at 11 to have a vermouth here.
Yeah.
At least not enough to build a business around.
Yeah.
Like it's a happy hour drink here. It's that aperitivo hour before dinner to kind of open the appetite. Like that is where we exist. And I think it's an interesting time to be involved in this business because I think that the way people are drinking is changing quite a bit right now.
Yeah.
I think there's all these headlines about how people don't drink anymore. And that is statistically just not true. But I do think that the way people drink is different. I think that the aperitivo before dinner moment is kind of becoming stronger, whereas the after dinner nightcap is becoming less prevalent.
Yeah.
So I think that it's actually a very good time to be getting into the market, where, I think that the way people are consuming is quite different.
Yeah, that's super interesting. In the moment of where you are with the business and looking back on the last year and some change, like what do you think keeps you guys grounded in the why? And do you ever find that you stray into like temptations and distractions with the business?
I think we just kind of know what we want to be and we're not there yet. So like until we get to where we want to be, I don't think there's any reason to get off track. Like it's easy to chase something new. You can be like, hey, sales in the US aren't going as well. Let's go check out Japan.
Yeah.
Like that's tempting to do, but like you need to stay focused on what the end goal is. And I think, for instance, we have one product right now. We have one product in two different form factors. We have the 750 milliliter bottle and we have 20 liter kegs of it.
Oh, big.
And we have ideas for other products down the line that we're working on. But like, we knew that going into market with one product is not what an investor would tell you to do.
Yeah.
But it's what made sense for us at that point in time. And like, our goals are different than what an investor's goals are. Like, we had to have the conversations early on, like, if this is a $3 million a year business and we have 5 employees, are we happy with that? Sounds like a pretty nice life. If this is a $30 million a year business and some large conglomerate wants to buy this company, are we interested? Also not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And like to see like where we're comfortable, I think is quite important. But right now, like there's still so much unfinished work to do. I think people are going to be discovering for at least 10 more years that you can drink vermouth on its own.
Yeah. That's interesting that there's like that education component. And when you say we know what we want to be, is it connected to that?
We want when people think of Spanish vermouth in the US to think of Cueva Nueva. And like, I think we're getting there because I don't think that there is necessarily like a ton of really strong competition. Not that there's not really great products, but I just think in the way that those brands are communicating is not getting to the US consumer.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that it couldn't happen 2 months from now. Some other brand pops on the market and has their own way of communicating. But like the way we're marketing on social, like we did not anticipate the two of us being in like most of our content.
Yeah.
That was not really part of the plan.
Yeah.
And quickly we learned that was going to be the most advantageous way to make interesting content.
I know.
And we slowly got comfortable with it. I mean, looking at the videos early on, like we were not comfortable on camera, and like it's gotten much more comfortable. And like the beauty of being a 2-person business is you don't have to come up with an idea, run it by a marketing team. Like we come up with really dumb ideas for videos and then we make it within the next 5 minutes.
And you just do
before we even like start questioning how stupid it is.
Yeah.
And like 95% of the time we post them. And that is kind of the way we're going about it. And what's interesting there is nobody can recreate that. So like if the Campari group wanted to start a Spanish vermouth brand, they can't just hire 2 idiots to like make videos. Like that's not an option.
Right. They'll try. Like I see big brand. It's so interesting. I see big brands like wanting to bring creators in-house and to replicate it, but it won't be that spontaneous, and it won't be, I love what you just said about we come up with an idea and then within 5 minutes we just have to do it, which you're right. Like I was in all those creative corporate spaces where 85 people need to weigh in on it. And then you're like, wait, what is the idea in the first place? Similarly, when I came back to this, I did not expect like the like welcomed impetus of, oh, I need to like share who I am.
Yeah.
Because there's 8 million podcasts out there. And similarly, I said to my sister the other day, the only time a piece of content resonates or feels natural is right after I step out of a yoga studio. It's something about me just being grounded and clear. And then I'm like, if I don't do this right now, I will lose it and not do it.
Yeah.
There's something cool though about, it's such a overwhelming world, especially with content, and there's so much noise, but like getting clear on your impulses and following them versus being I should do all these things that all these other people are doing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that like the way alcohol brands market themselves, especially on social, is insanely boring.
Yeah.
It's like luxury shots of products and like drone shots of fields. And like, that's not interesting for anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that like something I told Fee when we officially partnered, I said, the only way we succeed in this is if we have more fun than everybody else.
Totally.
Like this is not serious. This is booze. Like this is, I think it's somewhat more important than people make it out to be, because I do think alcohol, good or bad, is a huge part of community, like for the history of time. Mm-hmm. But like, this isn't serious. We're not saving lives. Like we're having fun.
Building it where you're building it right now allows you to like stay in that place versus being here where, to your point, the questions that get fired at you are about the strategic mechanics of growth.
Yeah.
That can, in my experience, sabotage the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sabotage the truth that it's not that serious.
Yeah. I mean, like if I was spending all of my waking hours trying to raise more money, we wouldn't have all the fun videos. Yeah.
Totally. Okay. On that note, last question on the brand. In your journey, you touched a little bit on it, but I would love to ask just plainly, like how you think about success and if your relationship to it has changed.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been like a super money motivated person.
Yeah.
I'd like to have more of it, who doesn't? But I do think that like it is a lifestyle thing for us, and this is a lifestyle brand. And kind of to what I was saying earlier, like Fee and I had to have the conversation early on, like if we're a 5-person company that's doing 2-3 million a year in sales, that's not a very big successful company. That is a perfectly sustainable lifestyle.
Totally.
Are we happy there? Because theoretically we could, be doing that and working 20, 30 hours a week, doing something we love doing. Like that to me sounds great.
Yeah.
If it grows bigger than that, like awesome. But like, I don't want to build this thing to sell this thing.
Yeah.
I think that is the marker of success for a lot of people. People like value success by exits.
Yeah.
And like, that's cool. I think it'd be way cooler to, pass the company down to like a child of mine if they wanted to do that. Like that'd be great. So yeah, I think being able to afford the lifestyle that I'd like to live, which is by no means a simple lifestyle, but like pretty chill.
Yeah.
Is kind of like all we really want right now.
I love the shift from, you said it, but like whatever, like successful business to sustainable lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I feel like just hearing those for me, it's like, oh yeah, it's so nice to hear that a little bit more normalized.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love you talking about like defining what a good life is and having these check-ins with your co-founders. And just to give Shannon a shout out, because I know her, I imagine like your partner is a big part of you just figuring out what that lifestyle looks like for the both of you.
Totally. And I think we're like kind of figuring that out on a day-by-day basis. You know what I mean? Like life's complicated when you have figured out this like really nice little lifestyle in Spain, for instance. Like I walk around my neighborhood and bump into people I know on a regular basis, and it's a beautiful lifestyle. On the contrary, my family lives in Buffalo. That's really far from Valencia, Spain.
Yeah.
Like that sucks. And like trying to figure a way to make those two things like operate better together and understanding like what we need in life to feel good. And I think that we're always kind of chasing something that once you get, maybe it's not all that it's cracked up to be. Like, I think people are like, once I can afford to buy a house,
then everything will just fall into place. Yeah.
And now you have a house, and now you got to take care of this house, and you can't move anywhere on a whim.
Yeah. And then you're sitting in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would like the you years back think about what you're doing now?
I think it's pretty cool.
You think it'd be cool?
Yeah. I mean, I think that a big part of the reason I wanted to move to Europe in general was, you know, had that abroad semester. And I think that was like one of the most freeing times of my life.
Yeah.
You know, just was barely going to class, running around Rome, meeting interesting people. And that was a super exciting, fulfilling time. And I think there was something in the back of me that wanted to get back to that in one way or another. And I think that what we're doing right now is kind of like the closest thing that I could have imagined to that.
Yeah, I think it's so cool. Like there's just certain things where I think culturally we're conditioned out of like, oh, this is so nice, but it couldn't be like this all the time.
Yeah.
Like I've had that.
Yeah.
And who's to say?
And like none of it's perfect either. I mean, you move to Spain, you're on sunny coastal Spain, you're by the beach, it's great, but like you have shitty days too.
Yeah.
Life's hard.
Yeah, life's hard no matter where it is. Similar to what I just asked you, but I like to phrase it this way. What do you think your 8-year-old self would say to you today?
I don't know, my 8-year-old self could have really processed all of this. I think my 8-year-old self was, you know, a shy kid that like had separation anxiety from his mom. So the fact that I'd be living in Spain would be like, damn, that's crazy.
Your mom's awesome.
Yeah, she's great.
I remember her fondly.
Yeah.
What would your 80-year-old self say? Is he drinks vermouth on his porch?
I'd like to believe my 80-year-old self would say, I'm damn happy you made this decision.
Yeah, for sure. What is a ritual or practice that keeps you you?
I would say one thing that I like to try to do that I go in and out of phases of is morning writing. Just getting the thoughts out before looking at the phone, before doing any of that.
Yeah.
And I think that it's easy to fall out of that habit sometimes, but I think that ultimately when I'm doing that is when I feel the most clear-headed.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately just exploring curiosities and trying new things. I mean, I think that's what's exciting about food and beverage is if you're not trying new things, you're probably not that into food and beverage.
Yeah, totally. Just 2 more, I think. This is the truth is Mad Libs.
Okay.
You fill out, I used to think blank.
Okay.
And now I know, or now I believe blank.
Okay. I used to think adults knew what they were doing, and then I found out that they have no idea what the heck they're doing, and now I'm a part of that.
That's a perfect one. And then lastly, what is true about the season of life that you're in right now?
I think a lot of change is going on right now, just personally and with the business. And I think change is exciting. I think like embracing change is awesome. I don't know. I just think that like knowing that this December to last December looks totally different, and knowing that next December is going to look totally different is like what I want out of life. Yeah. I don't want to get stuck in monotony of the course of living.
Yeah, the habituation of it. I feel the same. It's funny, like now we're in our 30s and just where you thought you might be and where I am are not the same, but it's fun to feel a little bit like, not I'm starting over, but like I'm coming of age in new ways and hitting that point of like, oh God, like I do not know anything that I thought I knew. And that's kind of exciting.
I think the things that I'm learning that I know are like what works for me. Like over the course, like I think I'm probably one of the least employable person. Like I think I'm one of the least employable people out there where like I'm not good at taking direction. I'm not good at being told what I need to do. Like, I value my time so much. Doesn't mean I always use it well, but I value being in control of my time. And like, when I have a manager or a boss, like throwing meetings on my calendar, that is a totally normal thing for a boss or a manager to do. But like, I'm like, you think you can just take my hour?
Yeah.
That's my hour.
Yeah, but I really love the awareness of that, and then building a life is a response to that that meets like what you ultimately value, you know? And what I really admire, and I love hearing like the nuances of different guests I have on the podcast, is it takes like a self-awareness, you know? And that isn't inherently wrong. You just have to like, have the accountability to then figure out the path forward.
And not everybody can be the maker. Not everybody can be the entrepreneur. Like, you need people that can help build other people's ideas up. Like, that is super important. And I think that one thing that concerns me sometimes is how much in the US we fetishize entrepreneurship.
Totally.
And it makes people think if they're not building something, like, am I a loser?
Yeah.
And like, that is not the case at all. And like, also this idea that we need to monetize anything that we like doing is a total bummer. But you can just like embroider clothing for your friends or fun.
And not have it be a whole thing. Yeah. Well, you are a maker and it's amazing. People that are listening, where can they find it?
You can go to cuevanueva.com. There's a store locator on there, and you can find where the nearest shop near you has it. We don't do any direct to consumer. If you're in New York, Astor Wine's great spot to go to. They have a good price on us, and they ship, I think, to like 34 states.
Okay.
Yeah.
This will probably come out in January, but what is like, I should say, people should drink it straight.
You can do whatever you want. Even on the bottle, it says that you can enjoy it on ice with an olive and an orange. It's also perfect for a Negroni. So
I love a Negroni.
You can use it for your cocktails. You can drink it on its own. You can get creative with it. But I think what we're trying to do is promote it the Spanish way, but, you know, let people choose their own adventure.
Amazing. Yeah. What a treat to do this with you.
Yeah, it's great.
It's crazy that it's been this long, but here we are.
We're in a little studio in Manhattan right now. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salud.
Salud.
I hope you leave this episode with something that stays with you, a question worth holding or an insight worth following. If this conversation resonated, subscribing or sharing the episode helps bring more people into the conversation. And connect with The Truth Is at The Truth Is Podcast on Instagram. Special thanks to the people who make this show possible. Editing by Dan Kroll. Video production and editing by Anton LaPlume. Music by Will Savino. Visual identity by Sarah Gaynor and Jonathan Bush. And guidance from my friend and advisor, Natalie Tulloch. I'm Kathryn Flaschner. Thank you for listening to The Truth Is.